So, Andrea, how
Hi.
are you?
Good.
Welcome. Thanks a lot for your time. Before we talk about anything, can you please tell about yourself, what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Andrea Magnago. I'm living in Sweden, in Stockholm. Been working in the IT industry, in the technology industry for over 20 years. And now working for a company called Crosser, that is one of those innovative companies from Sweden, delivering solutions for large manufacturing companies in the field of digitalization, IoT, and so forth. International, love traveling, great to be here in Istanbul.
Yeah. So what are you doing here?
First of all, I'm meeting with our partner Komtaş, that is representing us in Turkey. Also meeting with customers. So yesterday I was meeting one of our largest customers, that is a known Turkish manufacturing company based out of Istanbul. Following their journey, their digitalization journey, and helping them out with our technology and also with the help of Komtaş.
Okay, thank you. It's data we're talking about, and everything we talk about relates to data in some way. And everybody has their own definition of data, of course. And everybody is using data to improve their efficiency in business, to analyze, understand, and change the world. They're changing the world with data. That's it took me some time to grasp it, using data to change the world. Anyways, and we still have some way to really grasp the essence of data here. So I ask everyone when I talk about anyone from this profession, what is your definition of data? What is data for you? So what is data?
Well, as everybody says, data is the new oil. So there's no doubt about that. That's really where the gold is and where the value lies. But in a way, data has always been there, actually. So data is nothing new. Data has been hiding or was basically a little bit isolated in some silos, but it was there. It was there. So what the industry is doing today is trying to actually extract that data in an efficient way and extract some value out of it. The problem with data is that it's hiding or it's being kind of segregated, as I said, in silos. That's the first challenge. So making use of that data is not as evident. So you need the right skills and the right technology to access this data and to analyze the data. Data also comes in a lot of shape and colors. When we talk about industry, it's a lot of diverse data. It's new machines, it's old machines. So making order of that diverse data can be a challenge, number one. The second thing is that there is different types of data. There is data that expires like milk or even faster. There's data that after a few seconds, it's already gone, it's expired. Yeah. Why? Because you might want to make instant actions based on that data. True. So these are real-time insights. So it's really fast data collection and analysis on the fly. There's other type of data that can last weeks, months, for more strategic operations. So there's different kinds of data, and there's different ways to treat this data depending whether you want instant actions or whether you use the data for more strategic analysis that can happen over a much longer time frame. So that also makes the picture a little bit more complex. Sure. What type of data are we talking about?
And can we say, when you're talking, I just thought about it, everybody has, we can have the same data, but everybody can have different opinions and, different analysis of the same data. And it depends on your point of view, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, then as we talked before, we are trying to improve data is important. We know that, like the new oil, no question about it. But the when I researched the literature, I saw that still the data literacy levels are so low, even in data companies. And people don't know how to use it, how to make sense of it. So the data literacy, data is important, but how important is data literacy, can we say?
I mean, that's fundamental for companies, and companies are realizing that, they're investing in that. So that is essential to be able to make use of these new technology. There needs to be the skills available within the companies, and access to these skills is a challenge all over the industry. Here in Turkey also, today it's a challenge, but overall in the industry there is a shortage of skills. But companies are building this data literacy, which is a must to be able to take advantage of this digitalization that is going on today. But even that is not enough, because then we go to the next level, which is getting the right pieces of the puzzle together. It's about data, it's about accessing the right data, the right time, analyzing that data. So there's other important parts, but data literacy is a key ingredient. Without that, you can't get anywhere. But I think that points to the shortage of skills that we have today, and that's a challenge for companies to build that data literacy.
So in a way, it's similar to the general literacy, like knowing how to read and write. So you have to be data literate.
Yes.
To do something with it.
It's essential. Otherwise, yeah.
Okay. So it was Crosser, you said.
I'm working for Crosser, exactly, Swedish company specialized in what the industry defined as edge analytics, which is one of the, let's say, key components or building blocks in today's digitalization. It's about processing and analyzing the data close to the data sources on premise and integrating that with cloud, with other systems. This is what the industry defines as edge computing, edge analytics. This is what we're specialized in, and we complement the big cloud providers or other systems. So that is what Crosser is doing today, and let's say addressing those Industry 4.0 projects. That is what is going on in the industrial space today. Industry 4.0, industrial IoT, call it what you want. It's the fourth revolution within the industrial market with the digitalization.
True. That's actually why my next question. Why? I mean, I understand what you're doing, but why are you doing this? Why are companies doing this right now?
Yeah.
Why is this? There is this trend. Everybody's like running after.
I think we can summarize it as competitive edge. People want to stay, or companies want to stay at the top of the wave, or want to stay competitive. So it's all about that. It's the same as our large customer here in Turkey. For them, it's about efficiency. It's about savings, most of all energy savings as well. So the business drivers are, being more efficient, savings, cost savings, better quality, better throughput. It's about being efficient, producing better with less, and saving costs. That is the driving factor behind Industry 4.0 today. So those are the main reasons why.
So just to be clear, like there's this one of the largest manufacturing companies in Turkey, and they decided to just do something with the energy consumption, lower it, kind of. Yeah. One of the problems is that.
Correct. Yes.
And they are using data to address that problem.
They're using data to be, again, more efficient, and in their production, with their quality, and also with the energy efficiency, which at the end of the day, especially in these weeks, in these months, is a very hot topic, to be able to be efficient and reduce, if possible, energy consumption. So again, these are the drivers that we see also with our customer here in Turkey.
Yeah. It's that I'm asking because, you know, when we say data and, you know, the data science and data, you know, analysis, it's something like on the computer, some people are doing some magic somewhere. It doesn't have real life applications, but some largest companies, you know, are using those skills to do some real change here. Yeah.
They're doing real change. They want to also predict. You know, they don't want to be reactive. They don't want to discover, you know, 2 weeks later or 2 months later, we had actually a problem with production or something happened then. Why did it happen? They want to predict now. They don't want to be reactive. They want to be proactive. They want to understand, okay, if I put in these chemicals in, these raw materials in, what will be the output? Or how do I need to, let's say, change the parameters in the machine? So they want to do predictions. They want to do predictions on quality. Again, they want to predict if something will break, if something will fail. Imagine big manufacturing companies that have these big assets. If a machine stops, it will have huge impacts on production. If I can start predicting that this machine might fail or need service, I can be much more efficient in how I can, let's say, manage these critical assets. So there's a lot of predicting involved on quality, on failures or breakages, maintenance. So it's all connected together. So that's what customers are doing today, using data and also using advanced analytics. So it's not only about collecting the data; it's about processing that data, massaging that data a little bit, using more advanced techniques like, you know, algorithms, machine learning, to do even more in-depth analysis on this data. Sure. So data is just the starting point. Then you need, you know, I have a pyramid showing that in one of my slides that I use, and you have this pyramid, and at the bottom is data collection, which is great. It's the first step, but then it's about massaging that data, maybe transforming the data, cleaning the data. Maybe not all that data is important, relevant, so shrinking that to insights. And then applying more calculations, more logic, more analytics, all the way up to machine learning that we hear today. That's the tip of the pyramid. But there's a lot of steps to get there. And Crosser and our partner Comtage is helping companies in all of these layers of the pyramid, from the data collection all the way to the kind of more advanced analytics.
So when we look at some, you know, magical, you know, algorithm, the machine learning algorithm here, it's not just that. That's like the tip of the iceberg, I guess, right? There's like so much behind it.
Exactly.
That's why it looks like magic, right?
Exactly.
But it's
exactly.
not. Basically.
It's not, and that's there's a lot of steps in getting there. But we have customers actually that start at the top of the pyramid, amazingly, because they have the data, and for them it's about predictions. So their immediate goal is actually to use this data that they have control of, but they need to apply some analytics to be able to start doing more advanced predictions and calculations. So some companies actually start pretty fast with the top of the pyramid, but most customers, they're in the lower levels of this pyramid.
Do they succeed when they start at the top? Can you do that? Or do you need a larger plan for it?
No, I mean, it takes time with that. And the thing with machine learning and analytics is that it's very specific. It's very domain specific. So you might create a model that, an algorithm or a machine learning model that fits for one process or one machine, but for nothing else. So today, machine learning is still very specific. So it needs to be customized for a specific industry, a specific machine or a process line. But no, they're succeeding. But again, those are a little bit the exception. The majority start at the bottom of this pyramid and walk their way up towards the top.
Again, it depends, I guess. It depends on the needs, on the industry. So we understand, okay, why we are doing it. You know, we have some problems, we are trying to solve them. I think that this is we kind of talked about it, but the most difficult question is, how are you doing this? You know, for the layman, for the people who are not in this business. How are you doing this?
Well, I'm looking outside of the window here, and we're in beautiful Istanbul, or in the outskirts of Istanbul. And this morning I woke up in Europe, and here we are in Asia. We are in the crossroads between Europe and Asia today. And digitalization is a little bit the same. And if we look at the industrial sector, you have the traditional OT, the machines, the kind of the technology that has been running for decades within companies. On the other side, you have IT, which is more data. They both need each other now in this convergence of technologies. So OT meets IT, a little bit like Asia meets Europe. And Crosser is a little bit also, like Istanbul, is a little bit, and that's where our name comes from, Crosser. We're kind of in the crossroads between these worlds, between OT and IT, because without this convergence, they can't work together. You need to have the traditional data coming from machines to meet the new technologies, the IT technologies that deals with the data. So how do you do that? You need to have technologies in place that can actually combine and merge these worlds that are very different together. And that can be done in combination with cloud, but also with edge technologies, which is what Crosser is specialized in, to be able to process and analyze that data on the fly. So there's a lot of different pieces in the puzzle, but you need to have ways to integrate that legacy data that comes from old machines, new machines, sensors, cameras, you name it.
The raw data.
The raw data, in whatever form it comes in, with the new technologies. That could be cloud, it could be other systems. So we are a little bit that glue with Crosser that unifies and makes it possible for integrating and converging these different worlds. And that's what the industry refers to, this OT-IT convergence that is happening out there in the market.
Is this the thing we're talking about, the hybrid approach we're talking about here?
The hybrid approach is when you leverage technologies on the cloud, but also on-premise. Because, yes, cloud is very popular, but a lot of companies don't want to throw all the data to the cloud. Some are a little bit, let's say, still want to control their data and maybe not send everything to the cloud. So it's a hybrid architecture that we see out there with both cloud, but also edge technologies like Crossers to be able to collect and process the data locally and then share that data, those insights, with local systems, with machines on premise, but also sending the relevant data and insights to the cloud. So this is the kind of the hybrid trend that we see out there with both cloud and edge. So cloud and on-premise data processing.
So it's not going to be all cloud, as they say, right? We all still need. And actually, from here, this is actually another branch of the question how. So it's not going to be all cloud. It's not going to be we're going to throw all the equipments away. It's not. We're going to need all of them together. And so is it the same with people? They say, in the future we're not going to need any people to do any business. The AI, the machine learning will just deal with it. So what's your take on this? Like, where are we standing here? Are we going to be all useless in all industries, or maybe you can start with your industry, in the coders, the programmers?
Yeah. That's a good point. Yes, I mean, technology is moving very fast today. And if we look at the shortage of skill sets that we see out there, companies need to deal with that. And there's one emerging factor that is quite obvious, and we're also part of that, which is low code. I don't know if you guys are familiar with no code or low code, but it's actually, instead of programming everything that you want to do, you use a visual way of programming. It's a bit like Lego. You connect building blocks together and you create those workflows, those data pipelines. So instead of reinventing the wheel from scratch, you use a low-code approach, which is very graphical and speeds up innovation. So we see that, and I think that I saw a prediction that by end of 2024, approximately 65% of application development would be achieved with low code. So this is something that is happening today in all areas within digitalization. So low code is an emerging trend today. Crosser from the beginning has been behind low code. So our technology is fully low code, and that's one of the main reasons why customers want to work with Crosser, because they get innovation very fast, and you don't need. You still need developers, but you don't need them for, again, reinventing the wheel every time. You can use them for more, let's say valuable processes and analytics, rather than, again, reinventing things from the scratch every single time. So low code is a trend, a technology trend that we see out there, and it addresses the kind of the skill shortages that we have everywhere today. So one takeaway also for today's discussion is low code.
Yeah.
It's here, and it's just gonna grow and grow.
It actually reminds me of some. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you know, I follow gaming, and I'm kind of a gamer myself. These gaming engines they're using to create new games. In the past, it was like they would code everything in the game, but now it's like there are engines and there are, you know, assets that you can use. Are we talking about the same logic here?
Yeah, I mean, this principle is everywhere. It's even when you build websites. You know, remember how it was 10 years ago? You needed to build everything. Now you can buy a service, and it's all, you know, drag and drop. It's all visual. So this kind of low code, you can see it everywhere, actually. And it's also present now with this kind of industry 4.0, this digitalization of these companies. They're using these technologies to speed up innovation and be less dependent on an army of developers. They still need them, but maybe more on critical processes rather than, again, typing everything from scratch every time.
It's actually, it's great because, you know, it's in all industries. It's in medicine, in all industries. It's like we're losing lots of, when a person dies, like all the skills, all the experience dies with him, right? So it's like a waste of skills, waste of experience. So this kind of addresses that problem also, right?
I think you touched a fantastic point here. Yeah. Exactly. There are companies, and I talk to companies that are dependent on one or two people. What happens when they leave?
Yeah.
They don't need to die. What happens when they leave?
True.
Everything is in their head.
Too negative. Okay.
But you're right. So when you have these kind of platforms, local platforms, when they leave, their knowledge stays, the template stays, the work is kind of documented. So there's governance, which is in play here. So companies want to reduce risk and want to also relate it to governance. They don't want to be dependent on key people that might leave. So these are technologies that are addressing also these scenarios, and not relying on the heads of specific individuals. So very good point.
Yeah, that's because, you know, that also it's a great way for improvement, for development. You know, when you don't lose time to just build up until here, you know, all the time, you can just, you know, step by step, just go forward and, you know, reach the metaverse altogether. I don't know, exactly. We call it. Okay, so thanks a lot. That just covers a lot of things. So. Our audience here, my audience here, is mostly high school students, high school graduates, and, you know, university students. So I have lots of questions. Like, I want to be a data scientist. I want to be a data analyst. So where should they start?
Well, first of all, I think they're in a fantastic position today. Mm-hmm. They're the most demanded people in the market, so they are in the right place. If they're considering this career or already studying that, I think they're in the right place. Get their hands dirty, really. Have experience with. Choose the companies that are investing, that have the digital vision. Like our customer here in Turkey, they're very kind of digital minded. So find these companies that invest and see the vision and the importance of digitalization, and just get your hands dirty with these companies, and I can just encourage them to continue the path they're on. The industry, and which is the sector that we focus on primarily, has a huge need. They really are desperate to get skilled people. So finding these companies could be interesting, because there you can combine the new technologies with the old, which is still here, which is the kind of the automation, the machines, the big industry processes. So again, this OT meets IT, I think, is kind of where we're going. So I would definitely encourage people to take a look at this specific sector.
Maybe we can just. I always say this: like, you don't need to be a data scientist to work with data, to use data. In all industries, in all fields, there is this new trend. It's not new, but people are understanding the importance, the interdisciplinary. So you don't need to be a data scientist to use, engineering in medicine, right? Engineering in biology. Like, we're talking about biotechnology right now. So correct me if I'm wrong here. Like, I'm giving this advice to the students I meet. Please get some, data literacy. Of course, just get it over with. Like, it's really important. But do some more. Whatever you're doing. Like, it can be law, it can be medicine, everything. So, is that true? Am I doing right here?
No, I think find exactly. If you give it another twist, a specialization in a specific industry, then you can really combine the data literacy with a domain knowledge. So it could be anything. It could be manufacturing company, it could be financial processes, whatever. But again, getting that domain knowledge, you don't need to be a specialist, but getting domain knowledge and combining that with the data skills, then you get a powerful combination. So today we talked about the manufacturing, the industrial space, because it's one of those fast-moving sectors with this Industry 4.0, but there are other sectors as well. So try to combine these two worlds together, these two skill sets, and then you have a powerful then your students, your audience will be in very high demand.
Okay, thanks. That's what I thought also. So I'm not giving a bad advice here.
No.
Okay. So any other comments, any other advice for anyone who is watching us?
No, I think we touched on the main topics today. The mega trends today that we're seeing is, again, digital revolution. In the industry, it's referred to as IIoT, industrial IoT, Industry 4.0, which is what we're focused on. We see the drivers, as we mentioned before, why companies are doing that, to stay competitive. It's business drivers, so it's strong drivers behind this revolution. We see the kind of emergence of hybrid technologies, edge analytics, edge computing, which is Crosser's DNA combined with the cloud. So these technologies are getting more and more leverage today. We talked about scales, lack of scales. So that's a pain point, and that's what we just talked about now. We talked about the emergence of low code. So this is a takeaway for our discussion today. Take a look at low code, because it's a hot topic today. No, I think these are the main topics, and I have a lot of stories about how data is being used and anecdotes, and which I can tell about. But it's about quality, it's about energy savings and so forth. I have one customer, maybe I can give one example. Think of let's say a paper producer, just to give an example, and I have one of these cases actually. So when you produce paper, the paper typically is white, right? That's what we write on. So paper companies, they get the pulp from the trees, and then they want to make the paper white, right? They use bleaches and other chemicals. And in the old world, or even today, you have operators that are pouring chemicals to get this paper white, which is how you bleach it and how you get that white color. But if you talk to operators, say, well, yeah, I pour 10 liters of bleach and the paper is white. And then by mistake, an operator all of a sudden puts 8 liters of this chemical instead of 10, but the paper is still white. Okay, so that is the power of data. If a company can predict that by using less of these chemicals, even friendly for the environment, not only about savings, I obtain the same result, maybe it's better actually to use less of chemicals and get the same quality of paper and the same white effect. So data, if I have data and I have the skills to analyze this data, I can predict that this operator in specific conditions can use less chemicals. So this is data. It's not relying on the mood of a person or a sensation of feeling, but actually use real insights. That's where you can actually start doing some savings. That's a small example, but the power of data.
It just gives me like creeps, because I think about millions of tons chemicals just wasted maybe in the past, right? Yeah. So that's okay. That's a great example.
So one of our customers is indeed using data analytics, doing some calculations to be able to understand, okay, in what conditions can I actually lower the amount of chemicals and obtain the same result? I'm friendlier to the environment. I reduced waste and the use of chemicals. So again, getting that competitive edge and being friendlier to the climate.
Those are like real world examples of what you're doing actually. It can, it can look, complicated and confusing at some points, but when you see those examples, it just hits you, right? Okay, thanks. Maybe in the future with some other projects we can have, we had a general idea what is going on and what you're doing. Maybe we can just, these examples, maybe on the field we can meet with some projects.
Next time we can definitely maybe present some of these cases that we have in Turkey, which are very interesting.
So it would be nice. Okay, thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, those, everything you shared just is so valuable, because, I'm talking about, data literacy, data is this important, that important, but, people from the profession, when you talk about this, it makes more sense. It just has more base. That's why, thank you. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
Next time. See you next time.